If you look at a map, you're going to see the very recognizable provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan. But back in 1905, things could have looked a lot different. Instead of two provinces, there could have been one big province. This is the story of the province of Buffalo. In 1904, when plans were taking shape to create new provinces, Alberta and Saskatchewan were part of the Northwest Territories. The area that they would eventually occupy was made up of the District of Athabasca, the District of Assiniboia, the District of Saskatchewan, and the District of Alberta. When talk of creating the provinces was actually put forward, there were a variety of different proposals. There was the proposal to create one large province, but also a proposal to create three provinces, or two provinces, but with an east-west border rather than a north-south border. A third proposal was to create one big province that would cover the two future provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan. This plan was put forward by Sir Frederick Haultain, who was the Premier of the Northwest Territories at the time. And in his words, he said, "One big province would be able to do things no other province could." As part of his proposal, Regina would be the capital, not Edmonton nor Calgary. And as can be expected, both Edmonton and Calgary were not happy about that. Under the proposal, the province of Buffalo would have encompassed both Alberta and Saskatchewan up to the 57th parallel, which would have meant that places like Fort Chipewyan, High Level, and Fort Vermilion would have never been part of Alberta. The new province of Buffalo would measure roughly 1.3 million square kilometers, which would actually make it larger than Ontario and only slightly smaller than Quebec. Today, it would be the second largest province after Quebec and would be roughly the same size and area as the current Northwest Territories. Today, the province would have a population of about 5.2 million, which would actually make it the third most populous province in Canada, ahead of British Columbia and behind Ontario and Quebec. Haultain and Sir Wilfrid Laurier, who was the Prime Minister at the time, did not get along well. Haultain was a conservative, Laurier was a liberal, and Laurier did not want one big province out west that could compete with Ontario and Quebec for economic share and political might. Of course, things could have looked very differently. If Sir Wilfrid Laurier had actually lost the election in 1904, the Conservatives would have been in power. With a Conservative government, they most likely would have gone with Haultain's plan for one big province of Buffalo. Instead, Alberta and Saskatchewan would be made into separate provinces on September 1st, 1905. And Sir Frederick Haultain, well, he may have been the Premier of the Northwest Territories, but he was not going to be the Premier of Alberta nor Saskatchewan. Now, I can go into a lot of detail about what this would have created if there was one big province of Buffalo, but there are so many unknowns. One issue was that until after Leduc No. 1 struck oil in the 1940s, Saskatchewan actually had a bigger population than Alberta. So if there was a province of Buffalo, most of the political might and power would have been in the Saskatchewan area, most likely around Regina. Once oil was discovered near Edmonton, that would have resulted in Edmonton becoming a popular place for people to move and live. This would have meant that Calgary would have been kind of left behind. It would have been a big city nonetheless, but maybe not as big as it is today. As for the corporate headquarters of oil and gas, those most likely would have ended up in Edmonton or Regina. This creates a whole number of different scenarios. Maybe there wouldn't have been Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers. It could have been the Regina Flames and the Edmonton Oilers and this great rivalry in the NHL. Today, Alberta and Saskatchewan are two of the most important provinces in Canada, but things could have looked very differently if there was that one big province of Buffalo. I hope you enjoyed this look at the province of Buffalo, and if you did, please give a like, maybe a share, and leave a comment. You can reach me at craig@canadaehx.com. You can visit my website where you'll find all my podcast episodes, as well as hundreds of articles on Canada's history. Just go to canadaehx.com. Speaking of my podcast, don't forget to subscribe to my podcast, Canadian History Ehx. Remember, that's EHX. I put out 3 to 5 episodes per week about Canada's history, and it's on all podcast platforms. If you'd like to support the show, just go to Patreon. Patreon.com/CanadaEHX, like all of these wonderful people have.